Our next guest set out to build wheelchair access vehicles, but he's run into some opposition from Land Transport. Land Transport say the vehicles don't comply. Roger, welcome to Automotive News.
Thanks, Alistair.
Right, I know we've heard about this. The Skoda Yeti, you were looking at this for a wee while. The Skoda Yeti was ideal. Good ground clearance, good internal dimensions, plenty of room inside.
Yep.
All right, so you buy them, then you cut out part of the floor, you put in your own floor, if you like, to accommodate the ramp and then the wheelchair.
Yeah, we use what is current automotive technology. It's not that advanced, but basically we're using honeycomb alloy composites and carbon fibre, and any race car guy or supercar guy will tell you that this is common practice. Jaguar, Lotus, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, they're all using it now.
Yeah.
But by using that technology, it enabled us to produce a much bigger internal envelope to sort of try and get the car into a TARDIS, if you like. And it also kept weight down, and structurally it tested out at around the same torsional strength as the original equipment manufactured cars. The very first car we built of the alloy was in fact sold to our first client in Western Australia. And subsequent to that, we've delivered another 8 cars to New Zealand clients. They were all fully certified under the Low Volume Vehicle Technical Association system. We had two different certifiers complying them. We'd established an export industry. We had orders to supply cars to Europe. We'd taken on additional investment on the basis of the potential of the vehicle for export. And export was our market.
Yeah,
the New Zealand market was too small to ever be financially viable. What we hadn't banked on was the bureaucracy.
Because they were certified initially, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were on the road,
Oh, yeah.
and then they shut you down.
Yeah, we followed the system, and I've often had to soul search myself and say, if we were starting it again today, could we do it any differently? No, we couldn't, because we followed the system. So we'd end up in the same place. The issue became very quickly obvious that the certifying authorities didn't have the expertise to be able to certify anything that wasn't built out of 1950s technology.
All right, this low volume group, okay,
Yep.
that was basically a hobby group, wasn't it? It's got nothing to do with professional manufacturing, if you like.
No, in the late 90s they lobbied the government because the government was looking at accepting foreign rules for New Zealand vehicles, and New Zealand produced vehicles such as they were, which were basically hobby cars. And they managed to waive those requirements and instead take on the role of guardian of the system. So they became the certifying authority. Well, quite frankly, I mean, an indulgent vehicle for somebody to make by themselves in the garage is a whole different ball game from a commercial vehicle. And if you put the fox in charge of the hen house, you're going to end up with a few issues. And particularly safety issues. And we're using the latest technology available for safety vehicles. This is a 5-star rated vehicle. It reduces to 4 stars because we've got to take the 2 airbags out of the seats, because the seats have to be removable in the vehicle. But it still complies to all of the safety requirements. So it's way more advanced than 80% of the cars on the road in New Zealand as far as safety goes. And when you see what the low volume vehicle safety situations are, there are no crumple zones, there are no airbags, there's no ABS, there's no electronic stability control. Most of them just have a lap belt, and that's the beginning and ending of safety. So their safety doctrine is more based on the fact that the owner is going to be bloody careful because it's his ass that's on the line if he hits anything.
Right. You're off to Europe next week. Now this is really interesting. Here you are as a startup, but there's intellectual property at stake here, all right?
Yes.
Prime Minister John Key has talked about backing intellectual property companies, if you like, ready to export to the rest of the world. Now you're going to France because the French government want to talk to you about setting up the exact same building process in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
And down the road, the Italian government looking at this.
There's quite a marked difference in the attitude of the 3 different governments. When the New Zealand government advised the Australian or West Australian government that they had concerns about the vehicle that was in Perth, The West Australian government pulled the car in, went over it with the original certifiers who'd certified the car for Western Australia, scratched their head, couldn't find anything wrong, put it back on the road and said, well, we're not taking you off the road because of something that's is an issue in New Zealand. We advised the French government, where we had a couple of cars over there for assessment, both for the manufacturer Skoda and for the French government, of the issues in New Zealand. The UTAC representative was laughing to me over the phone. He said, what's it with you people in New Zealand? Don't you understand technology? He said, we've seen the design, we've seen the drawings, we've seen the test data, we're perfectly happy with the car. We've put them on the road here. They've been sold to private customers for use so that they can evaluate them. And the only kickback we have, or tieback we have to it, is that if there's an issue in certification, then you must retrospectively upgrade the existing cars. And that's our only concern.
That's their only requirement.
Yeah, and that's what should have happened here. We've got 8 wheelchair guys and ladies that are medically disadvantaged. They have these cars for a reason. They're a medical instrument.
Yep.
It gives them total transport freedom as an ambulant person would have. And their partners and families and everybody else that have to support them. So they're a life-changing vehicle. I'm not saying that because we're trying to sell it. I'm saying that because that's the reality. We've got our customers are 100% supportive of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I've read the letters.
It was their directions that led to the design of the vehicle. And they've been put off the road for 12 months. And nobody gives a rat's. We've got one guy in hospital who was driving his wheelchair to work and got hit by a car reversing out because he couldn't use his wheelchair car to go to work. We've got other people with major medical problems building up, and you've got to remember most of these guys are tetraplegics,
Yep.
and most of them are elderly, and they've got a very limited lifespan back. They haven't had this freedom of enjoyment for most of their lives, and they were suddenly achieved it, and they had it taken off them by government.
Okay, Roger, let's leave it there for a minute. When we come back, we'll look at Roger's immediate